Welcome everyone to Quality Sewing and Vacuums. So fun for the month of March. It's already March. Can you believe that?
I know.
It's so great. This was such a fun month. I'm so glad to be here with Gail and Iola. We are going to have such a wonderful time. If you're new to Sew Fun, a virtual, just to let you know, we have 11 stores in the Seattle and Pasco area, and we would love to have you come in person. Our in-person classes are so much fun.
Yes.
There's prizes, there's food, there's friends, and camaraderie. So if you get a chance, go online and check out our dates and times for that. There's more coming up in April. So also for all of our virtual friends online, everything's going to be, there will be a link to all the things that we're going to be talking about on there, so you can keep up with us and have a great time. So let's get started. There will be a discount on some of the items, though. Yeah, and that is good for one more week. I don't have that exact date, but until next Thursday. I think is that April 2nd? I think.
I don't know.
Something like that. So next Thursday. Anyways, or you can get that exact date for you, but you'll want to go on and get them now because these items are going really fast. Definitely. All these, it's hard to keep them
They've
in
been
stock.
selling out.
So ladies, you know, I have this problem. I have this like ginormous pile of scraps, and I keep creating these things, and I keep getting more and more of these fun scraps. Do you have any idea what I can do with all of these scraps that I keep getting?
I do.
You do?
So, and actually,
I think we can help you at this time.
You can? Yeah. Great.
Because
Show
I
me.
actually was in a similar situation with a quilt I was doing January 1st, and these were the scraps I had.
I love that.
And so we
that's
found,
about the size of my
if we
scrap.
split, we can put this book here so you can just see really quickly. We found this book, Elevate Your Scrap Sewing Projects, and it just has a ton of really cool projects to do that I found were very easy, but a really fun way to use up my scraps. So just to start with, this one here is the pleated pillow. And I can show you really quickly. I mean, hopefully you'll like that it's 3D and you kind of have a little bit more to it.
That's cool.
I was also really excited. This is going to match my quilt and look really good on my sofa.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway, to make this, and you can use these pleats in a variety of different ways, we have a sample of how to do it. So the first thing you're going to do is make basically layer up a background piece that would go with like the pillow here. So you've got 3 lines. So you set that down. Then you've got your colorful pleat. And then you've got the next background piece. And so the next step is to sew down the length so that now you can see there was that background piece. This is the piece that's going to flip over. And then that third piece came to be the background for the next one. So then, as you can manipulate, in the third step, you can see how easily you just sew across the top, then you flip these over, do a single stitch there, and then you can put your bands above and below. So you could do this on a project bag. Gail actually did something really creative with her pleats that was another project in the book.
Yeah. So I made a little bag. This is the bucket bag, and this is on the cover.
Can I touch it?
You can touch it.
Oh, those are so fun.
Yeah, and there's
I
some
love
little
that.
beads on there to accentuate those pleats. And it's got a little drawstring. And we've decided, you know, that this might also double as a carrier for a growler.
A growler koozie.
A growler koozie. Yep.
That came about like after you'd been doing it for a minute.
Yeah. But this has that pleat detail. It has the beads. It has a fun little label. And then on the bottom, I was able to take one of my power tools with thread, right? My sewing machine, and embroider the quilting detail in the foam, because I used a kind of a foam product here, to make the quilting for the base of the bag.
I
So
love that. And it seems like it gave it more stability when you quilted it
it
too.
definitely does. So more
That's
than just
awesome.
a simple, circular thing.
I love
you guys
that.
will use those patterns that you have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So
there's
beautiful.
There's my
What
girl.
about these guys?
Put it off. She's got another pillow to talk about first.
So
Oh,
the next thing I did, now I wanted to have my pillows both be different, but both really look right on the sofa together. So this pillow here is a woven one, but again, they added the element where what you do is you do all the weaving and then you gather with a stylus or a stiletto, and then you can do just a couple of stitches across the center to tack it in. I decided to experiment to see if I could get even a little more loft to it. So I went ahead and took some monopoly thread and just wrapped it around and then knotted it behind. But the project in the book actually called for the piping to be here with the flange out here. But I decided I wanted my pillows to match size-wise on my sofa. So I just went ahead and put the sides on. I did do a little bit of sashiko stitching that's hard to see on the sides, but I liked that the two of them, are
but I
similar
can
but
see
different.
it. Yeah, I can see it. Like when you look
So-
close, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Just
So
a little
anyway,
detail.
so that was, using the weave, back and forth. And I think you did something similar. So I'll move my pillows out of the way.
Well, yeah, I did a little bit of weaving. So this book has so much versatility, right? There's 20 different projects. They cover all different kinds of media, and one of them is playing with cork. So the weaving I did makes the base of this little cork purse. You weave a little piece here, and then you add your borders. And you're going to put some paperback fusible web on the back of your fabric before you weave all your little pieces here, and then build that base. So I do have a little tip for you. You're going to want to use a paperback fusible web that does not have any tack sticky on the back. Steam a Seam is a wonderful product, and I use it for so many different things because it's sticky. But if you have Steam a Seam on the back of your weaving on the back of your fabric for weaving, then it's sticky and it really doesn't work quite so well. You try to weave it in and out and it sticks everywhere. So go find one of those paperback fusible webs that's not tacky, and you'll be much happier than I was. But once the weaving was all done, it makes a beautiful little bag with a fun little lining, and they've got great directions on how to make that. So
And I loved the zipper install.
yes, that was a very unique zipper install that I hadn't seen before, and it makes it a very, very nice way to put the zipper in. So add your little details, and you're ready to go.
And then I think we need some rope bowls.
I think we
Andrea?
do.
Oh, yeah, let me try. Okay, so this probably isn't going to surprise anyone given the pillows, but this, I of course went with sort of matching colors, matching for this. So this is just a basic rope bowl that's wrapped with fabric. Again, another project in the book. I finished it with just a circle here. You can see that this is a little bit shaggy because it is raw edge on the wrapping. The other thing I like to tell people is glue sticks are your friend.
Definitely.
That definitely starts things out better. And you'll also notice if you look that the thread I used on this one really blended, so that really the artistry and the technique is really focused on the color versus some of the others, like one Gail did, and this one where you can see a little bit more of the contrast. And this was just to show people just how cool it is, when you can change your fabrics. And then we actually brought in some rickrack for another project, but this is some very dressy rickrack that I found. And so I just did some fun embellishments here with buttons and a little bit of felt just cut out with pinking shears and stuff. But again, just the window to all the possibilities you have.
Definitely.
So
You can go all one color fabric, you can go a rainbow fabric, or you can go scrappy, right? You can do all sorts of different
Just something
colors.
fun about these, the bowls, the scrappy ones, the first one that you showed that's all purple and kind of fuzzy. I made one for my cats, and my cats love it.
Yeah.
They love the rough and the fuzzy edges. And
So is it big
I
enough
thought that
for
was
them
funny.
to crawl inside?
It's big enough for them to crawl inside, and they're silly. They love it.
So what you're going to do to make all of these projects, and they can be flat, they can be small, they can be big, bowls, whatever, is going to be our 100% cotton clothesline. So this one happens to be from Gypsy Quilter, and you get 100 yards in a package, and it's a very soft clothesline, so it's going to manipulate well. And we also, well, I made a project. Now, it may have sounded like Iola said that I did that green and pink bowl, but I did not. She did that one. So she did those both big bowls, and I did a big coaster, right? So this is a naked bowl, right? So you take the clothesline and you sew it up without wrapping it in fabric. But it's not just a big coaster, right? If you flip it over, this is a place for you to have your playing cards. So I made a little pocket on here with some fabric, stitched it down, and you can hang on to the playing cards for little hands or older hands or anybody's hands, right?
well, and I know for me, I was super excited because as I got into doing these bowls, I found it kind of addictive, and I didn't think the world needed more mug rugs in rope or trivets, and so to do this. And the other thing that I don't know that you mentioned is you finished it with that wonderful rivet there at the end.
I did. Ribbons are going to pop up in all sorts of places in today's show. So we're going to wander on over to the sewing machine and show you just how easy it is to put one of these together. All right. So the first thing that I did was take my clothesline, and I started with one end. You're going to want to put some seam sealant or something on this end, but I'm just going to start a coil. And when I get this wrapped a little ways, I'm going to put a pin in the side, and that's going to be just enough to hold it until I can get it under the sewing machine. Then I'm going to put a straight basting stitch through the center of that just to hold these coils in place so that I can get in there and play with my zigzag. Now the zigzag is going to be what holds this row to this row. So I'm going to go back to the center. I think I'll start right there. And I'm going to start sewing these two together. Now my machine is set on a zigzag 4.0 stitch width and a 2.0 stitch length. And I have an open toe foot on this machine so that I can see exactly where my rope is going to be when I start sewing. So we'll put that right in there. And I'm going to go fairly slow to start. And I'm just going to turn this rope. And I have one going in and, one on the left and one on the right in between these pieces of rope. Now, as I go out a little ways, I'll be able to speed up a little bit. And if you can notice, my machine's very quiet. It's not complaining. It just accepts this clothesline, no problem. I'm going to use a 12 or a 14 needle for this. And I can start to go a little bit faster. Now, somewhere around this point, I'm going to stop and uncoil all of this extra. And now I'm working on just that last piece. Now, when I'm building this design, right, it looks like a little coil. I need to have my rope on the right. That's your mantra, right? Rope on the right is going to allow this project to build outside of your sewing machine. If you had it building on the inside of your sewing machine, you're going to run into a barrier. So rope on the right. And now I'm going to lengthen it just a little bit, maybe a 3.0. And I can really cruise along there. I'm targeting the gap in between these two ropes right to that little center red mark on my foot.
Gail, what kind of thread are you using?
Right now I'm just using regular thread. Of course, I'm using a really dark color so that you can see the contrast under the camera. But I would match it to my fabric, or I would match it to my cord. And it can be decorative. I could do decorative stitches with a nice bright thread, or I can match. Get a little bit more going here. All right, that'll give you an idea. So you're going to continue to go, and then you'll start building the sides of the bowl. Once a naked bowl or plate or whatever is done out a ways, you can decorate them with embroidery. You can add different places in here that have gaps. You can add handles. You can add beads. There's just a million different things you can do with rope bowls. So. All right. Did you notice how quiet my machine was? I have it setting on one of these. This is a machine mat. And this is going to control the noise, the vibration, and the movement. It is not moving on my table. These come in some different sizes. Today we have the 17 by 24. That's going to do a large sewing machine or a small embroidery machine. But that is going to help control the slipping and the vibration. All right. Iola?
So the next thing I wanted to share from things we did is we brought in the full kit and caboodle Easter party mug rugs. I think they're bigger than a mug, so they should really be snack mugs, but, sorry.
Snack rugs.
But anyway, so here are the four that we did. And Gail, you might want to start talking a little bit about yours. And
Sure. So these are applique, right? These are going to come with all of those shapes already drawn out. You can scan them into a scan and cut, or you can draw them out on paperback fusible web. They also give you your layout guide so that you can put them all back together the way that they had intended. You can also go on your own, but you know. Yeah. So once you cut those out, we have four lovely choices. So I did the bunnies, right? We have the Easter bunny, and he's hiding in there with a little carrot. We have the chocolate bunny.
yum.
And he's fuzzy. So he's got some fuzz going on there. And they all have these fun glasses.
They do. Well, and I actually did, as Gail mentioned, I used the scan and cut to cut all of mine. And one of the things I did, in addition to, and we have the rickrack that
Yes,
we
we
brought
do.
in.
We do.
So Gail and I both, we used the rickrack as the divider there. But one of the things I, like her, experimented with different things. Some batting for my cat here, as far as just giving it a slightly different look. And I had the bunny ears up here, not quite fit inside the border, and I didn't want to have the border cover them, or squish it down. So what I actually did is even made my border a little bit wider and brought my bunny ears up over the edge to kind of give it a little bit of a 3D effect. I did the same with my little chickie hat. So yep.
Nice. So we got bunnies. We got a dog dressed like a bunny. And then, of course, the cat, he's got to go do his own thing. So if you might notice, these are fairly small. So this is another wonderful thing that you can do with scraps, right? And we have that rickrack in lime green. teal, and hot pink. So you can add those to these projects or any project. So we've got our fabric strips, and there's our rickrack right down the middle here.
And Easter is coming.
It is coming. All right. I think some of these could be used any time of year, right? Okay. All right.
So I think, didn't you bring a big bag?
I did bring a big bag with me today. You want to see it?
Yeah.
All right.
See what you got.
This is my, Mary Poppins bag. Let's see what's in the bag. All right. So I am ready for retreat, right? Add a few fabrics maybe, and I'll be good to go. But let's see what we can find in this bag. Let's start with this.
Ooh.
All right, we'll start here. So this is a Caterpillar self-healing cutting mat. So when I go to retreat, I never know how much table space I'm going to have, if I'm going to have just a tiny little spot next to my sewing machine, or if I'm going to have a huge table all to myself. So this has been a great resource. I use it at home. I use it when I travel. And if I want a mat that's 11 by 17, then I'm good to go, right? I can lay it down and I can start cutting on it. If I want to go a little bit bigger, then I can fold it out like this. And now I've got 11 by 22. And I've got all my lines on here. They start at 0. It's all very nice. I've got angle lines that I can use. But if they give me a long skinny table, guess what? I can go even bigger. So now I've got 17 by 48. And let's go even bigger. We're just going to fold out like that. Wow. If I've got a whole huge table like this, then I've got a mat that is 36 by 48. So wonderful, wonderful resource for all different sizes. And I can take it all with me, all in one shot. So this is very thick, warp resistant, and self-healing mat. Now all of those little hinges get locked together with the little puzzle pieces. So I have no problem at all cutting anywhere on this mat that I want to. You're going to avoid these 2 little spots where it says, don't cut. Other than that, you're good. You're all good.
Reading is good.
Reading is good, yes. So
What else you got?
let's see what else is in the bag. I think you're probably familiar with this. You want to talk about this?
Sure.
We have a mat, we need a rotary cutter.
We absolutely do, and we always need really nice sharp blades.
Yes. Oh, I even have some extras.
Do you?
I do.
So I actually get really excited by pretty colors. So not only did we bring in sharp blades, but they're titanium, which means they're going to last longer. But they're also in this pretty rainbow color. And then the Quilter Select, if you're not familiar with this cutter, do we have a piece of fabric?
We do. I do.
Anyway, pretty much
Right here in the
these are a heavier one, which I find for people, even I broke my shoulder last summer, and one of the hardest things to come back was I desperately wanted to sew and I needed to press down hard. And with the weight, it could take some of that job off of my shoulders and allow me to do that. But anyway, you just tap the edge and now you've got the blade exposed. It's good for right-handers or left-handers because of that, but pretty much then you just go whipping through, and like we say, there's nothing like a sharp knife in butter, or in this case, a sharp knife through fabric.
There you go.
So
All right.
they're a great deal, and so we've got those. So what else do you got?
What else do I got? Well, we got a mat and a cutter. We need a ruler, right? So I do have an aid to some of those teeny tiny little rulers. So I need to make some 2.5-inch little squares, right? And that happens to be a Quilter Select ruler, same as the cutter. But when you get, there's another handle. When you get such a tiny little ruler, sometimes they're hard to hold on to. Now, these happen to be the Quilter Select with the coating on the bottom, so when you push, it takes the fabric with you. but it is still tiny, and I want to keep my fingers out of the way. And what we did bring in is a product that is going to create a handle for you. Let me take that out of there so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Inside the package, you're going to get 2 handles, and they're going to come with little magnets on the bottom. So when you mount those magnets to that teeny tiny ruler, now you have a handle that you can grab onto. So when I cut my scraps, right, my little 2.5-inch piece, I can just turn it around, do it again. I've got a nice 2.5 square, and I still have all my fingers. So
Perfect.
that's the important part, right? All those fingers. So it works on any different shape template. Inside, like I said, the package, we have 2 handles. But if you wanted to take that handle and put it onto a 3rd ruler or a 4th ruler or a 5th ruler, all you need to do is add the little magnet discs. So in a second package, we have 6 extra magnet discs that you can purchase. And just use them on all your different rulers. So I know you have one. What did you think of that?
I loved it. Well, and especially, like I said, I did a quilt sew-along on January 1st, and I only did 170 little 2.5 by 2.5 pieces. So
Only
I thought this
170?
was
I don't know.
kind of a cool tool to have and made my life easier.
Yeah, there's just a few 2.5-inch squares in the stars in the back of our quilt we'll talk about in a little bit, but I did use it as well. Okay, so we will set that aside, and let's see what else we've got here. Let's take another look at that lovely bag, right? This is plenty of size for all of those supplies. That big mat, you can put a 24-inch ruler in here. I don't know if you noticed all the pockets. The endless space for all of this stuff. So in that pocket is the pattern. So the pattern is the modern mat bag, and this comes in 2 sizes. We're going to have one that it's plenty big enough to fit this lovely large mat, and then we have a smaller size that will fit a smaller mat. And you've noticed all of those pockets on the front. There's also 4 pockets on the inside. And, I think I forgot, there's one more thing hiding in here. Does anybody recognize what this might be made of? Right? This is, you know what that is?
Splash fabric.
Splash fabric, right? So we have 2 new colors. If you have not played with our splash fabrics, these are cotton, and they're coated. So, Iola, why don't you talk about the splash fabrics?
Well, a couple of things to say about them. One, I was super excited to sew with them because I find they're very easy to sew with. But the biggest thing is being waterproof. I really like when I take something like my mats and my tools, anytime you put your backpack or your bag down on the floor, you're picking up all the germs of the neighborhood. And so I love that we can wipe this down at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But and I've done, lids for things in my refrigerator, little lunch bags, all kinds of stuff. But they come with just the cutest designs. And I thought the cats were particularly so. And then this new blue, and I will show you with one of the next projects that we're going to show you, where I use this new blue. I'm shocked at how many patterns it goes with. So
Yes.
I'm putting this on the inside of almost all the bags I'm making. It's light, it's bright, so you can find stuff.
It's one of those universal colors.
It really is. And
It's very bright.
but yeah, so it was very fun. So I would say it's a great purchase.
I'm not going to unfurl it here. Well, I guess I could. Yeah, let's do it real quick. So this comes 58 inches wide. If you don't know how much a yard by 58 inches is, it's big, right? So you are going to be able to make all sorts of projects with those pieces of fabric. All right.
Yeah, so
What size is the big square ruler? I just tuned it.
Oh,
This
So,
one is
48 by
36.
36 by 48. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The mat.
yes.
Yes. All right.
And if you haven't seen, and it folds down to 11 by 7, 11 by 17.
Yeah.
So it's great when you're at a retreat or wherever.
Last comment on this bag. So they've got webbing handles and we've got rivets up here. Remember I said rivets are going to pop up many, many times today. So
Yep.
there you go.
And rivets are really cool. I found, and especially in the next.
Oh, yeah.
So I went a little crazy with our next project. We only did half a dozen one weekend because we were having so much fun. But pretty much this is the drop zone. Let's see if I can bring that back so you can see it real quick. Okay, so with this pattern, it's a bianni pattern. It comes in 3 sizes. So you have the large, and here I have my chubby unicorn. I was dying to use that fabric. And then I did this one with cork, and I'll show you the insides in a second. This is the medium, and then we have the small. So you've got the whole gamut. But what's really unique and fun about these guys is when you open them up, you have basically a tray. So unlike sort of a square pencil case or zipper case, this, with the ends here, you really have the added benefit when you go to that retreat. I mean, this would absolutely be in my big bag. And actually, I can show you on this. You will see here on the ends, you're going to want to attach those flaps. So there are my rivets for both decoration and for saving me from hand sewing, which I try very hard not to do. But here again, this one's done with some fairly dense quilting. That's kind of what the pattern calls for. There, hopefully on the inside, you can see the rivets. So that saves me having to stitch up the little line there. So that's fun. We do have some, and I did these in various colors and designs, directional fabric here. But we'll get down to the last 2. But this one here, you can see the splash fabric here, and I could have even done splash here so that I could have things that were damp or, in danger of spilling and doing that.
Let's save that one. All right. I'm going to unveil the surprise.
Okay.
All right.
And then this guy just is a great example of where I have a bunch of friends and kids that love rainbows, and so I just stitched together a bunch of fabric, made it a single one, and then flipped it and did just some minimal stitching here so that it would stay pretty waterproof, and then I can
More splash.
yeah, more splash. So anyway, so that's that guy.
Yeah. So let's go just a little bit into,
How to construct it.
Right. Okay. So you're going to get your pattern, right? And many times when I use these type of patterns, they have pattern shapes inside, or they have descriptions of how to get to a pattern shape. So I'm going to use a piece of plastic that is template plastic, right? So let's
Put that
it
underneath.
under
Yep,
there.
perfect.
That might be a little bit easier for you to see. So we're going to create that template. Then you only have to do it once, right? Okay, so once I have a template, we're going to build a quilt sandwich. So the quilt sandwich is going to be, they're going to tell you in the pattern what size to make this quilt sandwich. So you've got foam, you've got fabric on the outside, and you've got a lining. You put the 3 pieces together, and you'll put in your quilting, and that's the diagonal lines that I have here. And then I'm going to use that template, and I'm going to lay it on my fabric, and I'm going to draw around the outside of the template. Then I've got a line to follow. Now, you could follow the pattern and cut that out at this point, but I have a quick little tip. If you wait to do the cutting until after you've sewn along all of those lines, then it's going to help seal in all of those shapes, right? If you had quilted something like this and the pattern shape doesn't come right up to the edge of one of those quilt lines, then you're going to have pieces that are loose like this. And you're supposed to sew around the edge to help secure these, but that fabric tends to buckle. So if you do the sewing while they're still all flat, right, you've got some surface tension holding all of that down, you do your sewing and then you cut, then it's all going to stay in place for you.
And what kind of stitch did you use?
I started out with a straight stitch. After I did the cutting, I went back and put a teeny tiny little zigzag around the edge. And that compresses all of that foam and it gets it ready for a zipper, a binding, or a seam. So we're all ready to go. Now, if you're going to do a quilt sandwich, right? And you want to put a little surprise in the bottom of the bag, and I only did this one. If you ever empty the bag, right, you unveil the fun little embroidered flower. You have to embroider that on the fabric before you do that quilt sandwich so that all of those stitches don't show on the outside.
And yet another handy
Yeah.
used for the template to make sure that it
You know
fits
exactly where the center is going to be.
and where you're going to cut.
Yeah, so we've got all this fun hardware on here. You can use just a fabric tab, or you can use one of these triangle grommet things, triangle bracket, or we can use a hook. And with the rivets, we can match those in color. So we've got all sets today are either gunmetal, triangle brackets, hooks, rivets, or nickel, which is going to be your silver color. And we've got triangle brackets, hooks, and rivets in those as well. So all the hardware to help you out today. And that is Drop Zone.
Yeah, and so my one last tip, because this was something I learned from sewing with a bunch of my friends, and hopefully you'll be able to see it on the camera. In terms of the construction, all of Annie's projects have you there's no raw seams. They're always covered over, and like on the end, if I flip this on this side, you can see, and I didn't put the rivet here, but I went and I sewed over that end. But one of the areas that's a challenge in this particular pattern, because if you look at it and you see how it's kind of a diamond shape at the end, here, when you go to sew, well, down at this end, I just had to put it down, put it right through my sewing machine, and it went dead straight. When I get to this end, I've got the hardware here, and watch what happens when I pull the zipper pull away. You'll see how it now is on 3 different planes. Does that show well enough, I hope? But anyway, so you've got basically a line down, and a bunch of us were all kind of trying to make that one long line and kind of a bit curvy, and I thought to myself, that's really silly. Why can't I do it as 3 different parts? So hopefully I did different color thread. So what I did was I just focused on getting my zipper, which was separated, lined up with the center, just stitched that portion there, and then I could come over and set down the right side and the left side and do my stitches there, and then I had an absolutely perfect line to then do my final binding without any problem with the zipper being in the way. So I thought that was kind of it, because you can really see now when I pull up farther. So that's my one tip as far as doing these, but I think they're really a cool bag in that they're a little bit fancier than just a plain box bag, which a lot of people are doing. And like she was saying, you can do embroidery or any number of things inside. So that is Drop Zone. So next, I think, didn't you did the Jelly Star quilt?
I did. And I was just going to show you quite how we did that, right? So this is Jelly Stars. And This is a pattern from Modernly Morgan, and it's a derivative on a jelly roll quilt, right? So you've got jelly roll strips, you're going to put them all together, and then you're going to cut them, and in place, you're going to put stars, right? You're going to piece them in. So if you want to look at the quilt up here, so we've got our long strips. So these are longer than one jelly roll strip. So I've got a couple different colors here on that strip and the next strip. And then I get down to a place where I'm going to put a star. So I've got a piece, and then I've got a shorter piece here that I'm going to add these triangles to. And that is as simple as taking a 2.5-inch strip, adding a 2.5-inch square to the corner, sewing right along there, and flipping it out. So then I've got a piece that looks something like that piece right there. I'm going to do the same thing on all of these corners and add in my larger squares. So it's just a wonderful, bright way to add some color. And it comes out throw size. So this is 64 by 72, I believe. Yep, 72. And it was fun to do. So I put some fuzzy minky on the back, and it's going to make a wonderful place to cuddle up with on the couch, right? So that's our Jelly Stars quilt.
Yeah, so next we did some jackets, and maybe Andrea could retrieve a couple for us. I know for me, I'm a relatively new garment sewer, so I was really excited when we brought in the Tamarack jacket pattern, and we learned to make them. And for me, I learned how to make a welt pocket.
Yes.
But this is my jacket. Happily, it fits. I like what it looks like. And I'm probably covering the mic. But anyway, so this is mine. I just wanted to go with something really neutral that I could really wear, and I've already worn it out several times.
Looks great. And I love the pattern.
Yeah, and
that's,
this is just a stamped
in.
in, looks very much like a Sashiko stitch, but, very inexpensive. And, really the pattern's designed to go, repurpose, let's say this quilt's had some good years.
Sure.
But you still want to, I would happily wear that if you want to make me a jacket out of it.
And what if you have a patchwork quilt that's got a hole in it, right? It's a little damaged, but you can cut around it, and you can make that into a jacket. So this does require pre-quilted fabric. So you can quilt it yourself, new on a long arm. You can purchase something like a bedspread, which is what I did to make mine out of. So this is mine. So I've got, again, the welt pockets, and it is a little bit longer in the back and a little bit shorter in the front, and this detail up here on the side. These are multi-sized patterns. So I made myself a size 20. This is the Tamarack jacket from Grainline Studios. So we have one pattern collection that is 0 to 18, and we have another pattern collection that is 14 to 32. So whichever bracket works for you, that's the one you're going to buy. Now back here on the mannequins, we have one that used pre-quilted fabric from the fabric store. And behind me on this side, we have one that was done with that long arm. This is batik fabrics. So it's got a fun print on the inside. So anything that you want to do. And you have an amazing jacket.
So this is really fun. So one of the store employees up in Northgate, Annabeth, has gotten into ice dyeing. And so she had done, this is truly a deal that is just tons of color and fun. So this is the inside, but basically she gave Barbara, one of the instructors, these sheets, and she took it home and she washed it, and then she figured out where she wanted what parts of the color, and she went ahead and, you know, stitched it out.
That is just so cool.
The bias binding. And then the other thing that's cool, one of your options you can have is, instead of doing the welt pocket, which is just a little strip here, you can do this external pocket. So if you're near any of the stores, I know a lot of them are actually doing this as a class.
Yes.
But I will say, it is a very, very friendly pattern. And
flip it over here.
yeah, but anyway.
Yeah,
thought
I
this
would
was
wear
too
that
much
one in a
fun.
heartbeat. No, the jacket was not very difficult to make. It's very simple lines. Andrea, can you hand me that purple box on the back table there? So if you happen to have a FOF icon or one of the later versions of the FOF, they actually have a binding attachment that makes it very easy to do the binding right on the machine. But you put a piece of flat fabric in there, it folds it all up for you and attaches it to your fabric. Otherwise, you can use all sorts of other methods to do binding. But that would be probably the hardest part, I think. The rest is just very simple seams.
Yeah,
And it's just,
once I got rolling on my bias binding, I did enough to do several jackets. So
Yeah, yeah.
I will be making more. I all of a sudden discovered I had lengths and lengths
okay, there
from
you go.
different tools. So yeah,
All right.
that was probably the toughest.
So do you pre-wash the quilted fabric? You certainly can, right? You don't have to, but that's going to give you, you probably allow, depending on the fabric, an extra size if you had not pre-washed it. But that's going to give you the, you know, the cush, right? That's one of the reasons I went with a pre-done bedspread, because it was already washed in, and the comfy was already washed in, so. All right. Inside seams, how are they finished? Several different ways, right? This one is done with
Serger.
separate seams on the serger. The binding is actually done first before the side seam to get that nice corner in the side. I did serge mine as well. This one back here, I know, was completely bound on the inside. So they went back and added another binding that covered that up, and even the armholes. So either an overlock stitch on your sewing machine, a serger stitch, or a binding can finish that out. All right, we got a few more things to talk about. So let's see what else we got over there.
We've got the software.
Software. Software is not scary, right? Sometimes people think that that's scary. Now, this is embroidery software. This one happens to be put out by Floriani. This is Rainbow software, and this is an entry-level type software. So what all things did you do with your software?
I did a bunch of different things, but really the key, I mean, the wonderful part of the Floriani software is just, it's a standalone, this Rainbow software is a standalone program, but it allows you to customize and personalize things. And one of the cool parts of buying it is, and I believe the price is $39.99.
I think it is. Yeah,
right
for
around
now.
there. But anyway, at that price, basically one of the best things you get is five little embroidery designs every month, and they can be scaled up and scaled down, and literally they have a video of loading them into your library and then going through the designs. So one of the things I did related to that was I went to Hawaii 2 years ago, and a friend of mine was there before me and left me her snorkel and masks. And so I went and I wanted to do a thank you card. So I went and looked in that library, which basically is over 900 designs.
Yeah.
So at $40, you can't go wrong. I mean, it's just, you pay that for just a couple, and every month, and that started in 2009, and every month they still add 5 more.
Right. And
here,
if you got, if you join tomorrow, you still get to all of those designs all the way back to 2009. So it's not like you have to retrieve them in a specific amount of time
but anyway,
and lose out. So
like I said, I wanted to make a thank you card. And one of the things they commented on, so going back to this, these folders, was how much they enjoyed swimming with the sea turtles. So I knew I had that design in June of 2022. And then down here, there's a whale swimming through some coral. And so literally all I had to do was go and open the software, and over here you can barely see, but there's the library tab that I went and I just dragged my whale over into the workspace. And then literally by clicking over here, I eliminated the whale. So all I had left was the bubbles, the stars, and the coral. And then I went ahead and dragged from, again, didn't have to worry about opening another program or another, thing and then blending them. So I just pulled the turtle in. Once I'd done that, moved it over, and it was enough of a success. I stitched it out on watercolor paper, and I sent it to them as a thank you, and they liked it so well, they found a green mat and put it under glass, and it hangs on their wall.
oh, nice.
So that was my cute little story, but just tons of fun, but a really good example of one of the many things you can do with this.
Yeah, so as a software itself, it's got editing. You can make things bigger. It'll add stitches. You can make them smaller, and it'll take stitches away. Besides the rotate, flip, and everything else, the rainbow, well, you can talk about the duplicate.
A little more, and this gets in a bit to the rainbow. So again, just with that design gallery, here, these 5 butterflies are the same butterfly. So all I did was drag them in, duplicated them, rotated them, made them a little bigger, made them a little smaller, and then assigned different colors to them. And again, another cool feature of the software is the ability, like you'll see that these 2 butterflies are the same color, and these 2 are pretty much the same color. And if you're using just a home embroidery machine, you've only got 1 needle, so you're going back and forth on your colors. And one of the things that helps you out is if we have the light color on these 2 butterflies and then the dark, you don't want to go light dark for this one and then start over again with light dark on this one. It actually has just a drop down that says sort, and it puts all the colors in order so that it will do all the light on both of them, then all the light on the darker ones, and so on, so that
Well, that's very cool.
don't have to go back and forth. But, this is just a really simple, where I found some sparkly fabric, and a friend of mine's going to the Ren Fair, and this is going to carry her water bottles and stuff.
Fun little
So-
butterflies. We also have the ability, the name, right, Rainbow Software, is to create rainbow colors. And they don't have to be your regular blue, orange, red type rainbow colors. They can be any colors that you want. They can be sunset colors. They can be kind of the purple colors. And this was recolored with the Rainbow Software to, it started out as 1 color. Can you hand me the towel?
Yes.
All right. So simple explanation right here is a flower. Now this is a beautiful flower. There's 5 of them in the free designs. This one says beauty. There's hope and faith and love. And the stems spell out that word. But in the free design that you get, that stem is going to be all 1 color. So I highlighted the stem portion. I hit the little rainbow icon that this uses, and it created color stops for me. So I could put in all of these beautiful sunset colors and make it a rainbow stem instead of just 1 color. So rainbow can add those color stops to recolor different items. All right, it's a beautiful value.
And just one last thing is if you get designs from other manufacturers like an OESD design or you want to change the text on the beauty, you can absolutely do that editing as well, so that you can customize it to people's school colors and all kinds of neat things like that.
Sure. So that brings us to our last project, and they're on either side of us here, but we'll start with.
Shall we bring them in?
Yeah, so I used that last item that we probably didn't mention is it has 4 fonts that you can use in that software to create lettering. And I did label the Polaroid pictures on my quilt with the different fonts and dates so that we could remember when all of these lovely pictures were taken, right? And we have a Polaroid camera pieced in down here. And I believe that Iola has one over here.
Yep.
Photos and camera. So this is a fun pattern called Snap Happy. And Snap Happy is going to allow you to put whatever you want inside that Polaroid. It doesn't have to be a photograph.
I can actually see where.
No, I think.
Anyway.
Or you could even use a fabric, right? There's fabric panels out there that have about a 5-inch size. But what's going to make these your own and beautiful memories is going to be those photos. So you can print photos onto fabric, and there's a few different ways. You want to start?
Sure. So one that I can show you, if we can go to the overhead.
Okay.
Keep going. Okay, would be the Print Moda machine, which we have in the stores. And this sunset is an example of one of those prints. Trying to think what else to say about it, except that it does a beautiful job. Yours were all done on the Print Moda, correct?
They were. So the Print Moda is a printer from Brother that will print onto fabric that is placed on a roll. So it's just under 12 inches wide, and it is 5.4 yards long. So you've got a roll of fabric to play with. You can do really long banners or pillows, or a lot of different photos for this quilt. But you have things that you can make with that, right?
And it also prints on paper, which is cool. So it's an all-around printer, but anyway, that's that. So. Then for those that don't have that, we brought in photo fabric. And so just as a quick example of that, I goofed up. So this is where you go ahead and just print on your inkjet at home. So about 2 years ago, I bought a $125 inkjet because I needed to make t-shirts, and so I have it. And so with the photo fabric, you get 5 sheets in the pack. And one of the things I would say about it is because you're going to be doing a little 5-inch cube, I thought, great, I'll get 2 of these per sheet. And what I realized was I really wanted to be comfortable with a 1/2 inch around each.
Seam allowance, yeah. For
my seam allowance and nothing pulling and so on, that I went ahead, and this is actually just printed on my inkjet printer. I went ahead and just did 1 per page, and then I used the rest of it to start doing customized labels for my quilts and stuff. Yeah. So all the fun ideas there, and took advantage of that. But I accidentally, just so you can see what it looks like, I forgot to resize this one. So it kind of, pops out. But I mean, it's really fun to have that. And then last, just because of my dogs, I keep looking at this picture. And for anybody that knows the little Morton Salt gal with her umbrella, this is now the Morton Salt puppy.
Oh, well, there you go. She's so cute.
Anyway.
And that's printed on that fabric.
And that paper that's gone through the inkjet as well.
Yeah, so there's a paper backing on there that you're going to peel off, follow the directions. And once the paper comes off, then it's just fabric, and you work it into your quilt. And you can make all sorts of fun things. I actually saw a lady a couple days ago that had done a vest. And it's like just window pane things, and all of the window panes were either different fun fabrics or photos. So
Yep. Or even embroideries in the square.
yeah.
I mean, I've thought about doing that with some of the different things that I've embroidered. And I thought you did an amazing job. And this got me thinking about doing sort of just some Polaroid mug rugs
Oh, sure.
to add in so that where this is hanging,
Yeah.
we could have some additional
Yeah.
Polaroids.
Share
But
your cookie with your special person, even if they're not there.
yep, there you go.
Why don't you grab that last little item we got right over there?
Yes, and this pertained, so this is one of the coolest, this is actually probably my favorite notion of all time, even being as tiny as it is, but pretty much, especially when, you know, Gail did the lettering and everything on her quilt, there are little jump stitches, and so this is the little side hopper scissors, and so I've made some mock jump stitches, so hopefully you can see, because these guys are just go absolutely flat to the surface, but so I can just go right under the thread and right at the end snip, and it just pops up, and then I can come over to this end, same thing, snip, and it's just a perfect cut. But I actually, when I started sewing, I was in class. I didn't work for Quality at the time, and I managed to sell everybody in the class one of these, and then said to the manager, would you consider hiring me, and does this count as my interview? Needless to say, it's 2.5 years later, and here I am, so I guess it was a success. But anyway, they're super cool. I have one at home and one that always goes with me, but like I said, you can just see how easy it is to use and get really close in. And I mean, I use it for more than jump stitches, but they're very, very cool. So
Very fun.
that is the little side hoppers.
Yeah, great on your fingers too.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, I think we have a couple of announcements to make back here.
And probably
I
some gifts.
think we do. Oh my goodness, everybody. Did you have fun today? I learned so much. You guys are so much fun. I loved listening to you. We have some prizes. Who's excited about prizes? It's one of my favorite parts. Absolutely. So today we have a little spool of rose-colored thread. There's like tons of thread on there.
Yep.
It's
just
really,
all
really great.
yards.
Yeah, tons. And then we have this little book right here. It is called Common Fabrics for Sewing. Really love this. It really helps you figure out what kind of fabrics you need to use and how to like
And what kind of needle to choose.
what kind of needle to choose, kind of how to take care of it and everything. It's a really great little book right here.
Really fun.
So thank you guys, everyone, for tuning in today. We have 2 of our virtual winners. Our first one for the spool of thread is Sharon Williams Abraham. So if you are in the area, please let us know, like if you have a local Quality Sewing and Vacuum that you love, I'll send it there. If you would email me at andrea@qualitysewing.com, send me your name, your phone number, and what store you'd like me to send it to, I will do that. Or if you're out of the area, like we saw some people tuning in from like Florida and
Wow.
stuff. So if you're out of state, please send me your address and I'll send it over to you. Okay, so that was a thread there. And then the little book that we have here is Pamela Hale. So thank you so much. Yeah,
Great.
Pamela got her little book here. I'll send it to you as well. Once again, Pamela, the same thing. Shoot me your name and phone number and at andrea@qualitysewing.com. And just a reminder to come and visit us in person. If you haven't been, we would love to see you. It's basically like a party, right, you guys?
We
It
have
is.
lots and lots of
It is so much fun. We are grateful that you were visiting with us today. I know we've got lots of people that have been very grateful that we're still online.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us and have a great spring.
Yeah, and happy Easter,
Yes.
everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.